This is the first video in my Small Business Invoice series. In this video, I'll show you how to create the basic invoice, do some simple formatting, and also make sure it looks good when printed. I'll be running through this fairly quickly as I want to show you the whole process and not get bogged down in too much detail. Stick around until the end where I'll show you how to make sure the document prints correctly over multiple pages. Okay, we're going to start with the blank workbook. The first thing we're going to do is add a header. So go to the page layout tab at the top, click on print titles, and then header footer. We're going to do a custom header because we're going to put quite a lot of information in here. So first of all, in the left section I'm going to have the company logo. We have this button here, allows us to insert a picture. I'm going to search for a file on my local computer, and I've got one here. The size is 30 mils by 30 mils, or just over an inch square. I'm going to insert that there. In the center section I'm going to put the majority of the information. I've already prepared it here. The company name, the address, and what I'm doing there, when I copy each one of these, I'm doing Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. You'll only get a new line where you've actually pressed enter. So I'm going to leave most of the information as it is, but I'm just going to change the top row to be a larger font. I'm going to choose 26. I'm going to change that part to be this color of blue. Okay, now in the right section I'm going to go down 2 lines and type in the word invoice. Also going to use the same formatting for that. So 26 and the same color of blue. So let's have a look at that. I've added print preview into my custom access toolbar, which you can do just by clicking on the down arrow, print preview and print. So put that on, just gives me quick access to that function. Okay. So the reason it didn't show anything to print is because I've only worked on the header. There's nothing actually in the document yet. So if I go back to that now, I'll see something to print. What I can see is my heading is slightly encroaching on the logo at the left hand side. So I'm actually going to reduce the size of the font slightly. So back to print titles, header and footer, custom header. I'll select all of the data. So I've basically, to do that, you can do it with the mouse, you can click and drag, or another way to do it, if you need to have a little bit finer control, put your cursor at the first point where you want to select, hold down the shift button, and then move with your arrows to everything you want to select. I'm going to use this button to change the font. I'm going to go down to 10. Print preview, I can get to it from there. Still, I have something of a problem here. Oh, no I don't. So what I've got here is just the text that I've put on the document. Let me get rid of that. But it does go to show, if I go to view and go to page layout view, what you can see here is that the header is coming onto the actual document. So I need to make that header a bit bigger. Back to print titles, and now we'll go to margins. Now a quick explanation about this. The header starts 0.8 centimeters from the top of the page, and the top of the document starts 1.9 centimeters from the top of the paper, as you would see it there. So what I need to do is I need to say, right, my actual logo starts at 0.8 and it's 3 centimeters tall. So I need the top of my document to be at least 3.8. So let's say 4 centimeters. And now we can see it clearly is better. Let's go back to the normal view. View, normal. So now there's nothing on my page. You can see a dotted line. That shows you where the boundaries of each page would be. The next section is the customer details and invoice details sections. So I'm going to say here. Right, so customer details is basically where I'm going to just every time type in the customer name and address. So this is just a placeholder so I know what to put where. Next I'm going to merge and center these rows. So what I want to do, I want this customer details to fill out all these columns, and I want invoice details to fill out all these. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that first of all, merge and center. Now again, I could do that every time, go up there, click the button, every time click the button, but it gets a bit slow. So another way to do it is to actually click here, drag across, and because the last action I did was merge and center, I can press F4 on the keyboard and it will basically repeat the last action. So that's what F4 does, repeats the last action. It's just a little bit quicker when you're doing little jobs like this. I'm going to put some results in this column, so these ones just need to be those two. Put those. Right, the next section underneath, I'm going to actually have a grey line in there. So I'm going to use, say, that colour. Make it a little bit thinner. It seems to add a bit of depth between the sections on the invoice, just makes it look that little bit more professional. Next one is going to be notes, and this one's going to go all the way along. I'm going to choose a few lines for that. There. I'm going to do a little bit of formatting here. So this one, I'm going to choose that same colour of blue that I chose before. Try and keep things consistent. I'm going to format paint. I'm going to copy that to there and copy that to there. Look, it's messed up the actual merge and center, but we can put that back in easily enough. Next, I'm going to draw some boxes. So this one you can use to do all borders. F4, repeat that action. I don't want all lines around there, but I do on that one. Next, I'm going to draw boxes around the whole thing. So this one's just outside borders. Okay, let's have a look how that's looking so far. We've got the header sorted. We've got customer details, invoice details. Looks a bit messy. Let's just arrange those a little bit better. So these I will put to the left on the home tab, remember. These we'll also put to the left, and let's put some data in here. So let's say it's I and V invoice date. So if I'm producing the invoice today, one quick shortcut that you can do is Control and semicolon will type in today's date for you. Great little shortcut. Payment terms 30 days, and here I'll put a little formula in. Basically, I want the payment due date to be 30 days after the invoice date. So all I'm going to do is press equals to start a formula. I'm going to say that, and then the plus sign on the keyboard, and then 30. Now, assuming that all of my payment terms are 30 days, that will automatically add 30 days to whatever this date is and put that in there for me every time. Let's see how that looks now. Okay, that looks a bit nicer. I need to straighten these up a bit at this side. So what I'll do, highlight those, format to the right. Okay, next section. This is going to be, I'm going to have another separation line. So what I'm going to do, highlight the entire row, copy that, paste it in here. So I can either right click there and say paste, or I can do Control V. So the next section is going to be date. Okay, now for these, if you want to format the whole thing, you can select like that. You can also select, if you hold down the control button, you can select individual cells. Whichever way you do it, select the cells that are relevant. Set the colour to blue, look, it remembers from before. We could probably make those a little bit bigger actually. Let's try 14. Okay, so I'm actually going to set all these to size 14. Watch this. I'm holding down the control button on my keyboard. I'm going to click cells that need to be changed. And I'm going to go up here, change it to 14. I'm going to now merge those across. And then in terms of the files underneath, or the lines underneath, I'm going to also merge them across. Those don't need to. This is going to be a date, so let's get that formatted. Let's do control there again, make sure it fits in. Let's put some rough data in. I need a formula in here now. So again, formulas are dead simple. Go to the cell where you want the formula to be, press equals that, just click with your mouse, press the asterisk button for times by, and then click the other cell, press enter. You can see it says H17 times by G17. So H17, that's this cell, G17, that cell. I'm going to make these cells a little bit taller. I'm going to format the date actually. Let me show you this. To format these cells, I'm going to choose a custom date, and I'm going to say, I'm going to get rid of those lines. I'm going to put the month as an actual word. I'm going to say 29th of December 2021. I'm going to now use Format Painter to transfer that formatting to there, and then again to there. Right, it's brought up the line that's on the end there, you can see that. So I'm just going to take that off. We need to format these as currency. Let's copy a few of these lines down. So one thing I'm doing there, I'm highlighting the entire row, press Ctrl C to copy, paste as many rows as you think you might need. We won't need that many, remember this is the bottom of the document. And then automatically all that formatting gets transferred down. I'm going to put borders in all of these cells. So there we go. Let's see how that looks now. Okay, I'm missing borders from my notes column there, but otherwise it's looking okay. So here, just click that, quick check back. Let's do the bottom section. Let's format these to go that way. So, okay, so you would put in the specific details for your business. I think I'm going to put in a little section here at the bottom. Let's just merge that across. So in order to make that look better, I'm going to wrap the text. I can maybe drop that down a bit. And we'll sort that out in a moment. So subtotals, I don't need to add up the quantities, I don't need to add up the price. I do need to add up the total cost though. Easy way to do this, equals sum, just type it in, open brackets, and then drag the section that you want, close brackets, done. Now, the interesting thing here is if I copy a row, so I've got 5,500 now. If I delete that row, that's fine, it goes to 5,000. If I insert 2 more rows and copy these details across, you can see that the formula keeps going and it keeps adding up whatever it is. That formula will adjust to meet whatever goes in between. If you insert extra rows in there, you can do that. The formula will adjust between that one and that one. Whatever's in between, it will get added up because it says sum I17 to I28, which is range, not individual cells. Okay, the VAT charge in my country is 20%, so I'm just going to say equals that times by 0.2. That's the VAT charge, and then the invoice total again is equals that plus that. And I'm just using my keyboard, sorry, to move around and select those cells. So payment due by, I'm just going to actually copy. So I'm going to say equals, scroll up to the top, that cell, click the cell, bang, you've got it. Okay, so whatever happens in this cell up here, you're going to get it down there. I might actually spread this one out. Let's merge that. I'll demerge it and then remerge it. So I can reduce that one down a little bit. But that's actually a title, so I want to copy these down. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to use Control X. I'm going to come down, Control V to move them down one. So I'm going to merge these cells. I'm going to merge these cells. So there, F4, F4, F4. And I think we'll see if we can make these slightly bigger. Okay, there we go. Let's do that again. So that's Calibri 14. We can just do that manually. You can see that we're going into the next page. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change the margins. Now if I click on this button, I get a narrow section here, which is some defaults where it's a bit narrower, and now look, I've got loads of room. So it's just made the margins a bit tighter. Unfortunately, it's reset the bit at the top, so I'm going to have to go back into that. So again, print titles. This time I'll go to margins, put that back to 4 centimeters. That should sort that out again. So that's come down, and then we're getting a bit closer now. So now I can extend this column, try and get right to the end. In fact, what I will do is I'll go to the View tab, go to the Page Layout view, and just while I'm getting this straight, go up to the top and I'll extend one of the columns to try and get it lined up nicely with this word invoice. Just sneak up to it at a little bit at a time. If you go too far, it'll jump onto the next page. There it comes back. If you notice, if I click on here, I automatically get my page header appearing. Click back again, it disappears because there's no data there. So I'll scroll down. Just looks a little bit out of place at the bottom. So let me just sort that out now. I'll go back to normal view. Right, go back to our home menu there. Outside borders, F4 outside borders. There. Is that a little bit too big? We can come down slightly with that. Let's align these to the left. They're already aligned correctly, but I will merge and center them. And then we'll align these 3 to the left. Maybe you can put whatever you want in here. I'll put that like that. There, I'll go across there. Let's have a look. You know what? I think it could do with another section in. So let's go back. I'm going to copy this row. Click on there. Right click copy or Control C. Where do I want it to go? Right click there. Paste. Oops. Excuse me. Do Control Z. I don't want to paste. I want to insert copied cells, which means everything gets pushed down. Just remember, if you do something wrong, you've got Control Z or this undo button that's going to take you back to before you did that action. As long as you don't save it right there and then, you'll keep those actions that you can go back to. Let's prepare this document to be used as a template. I'm going to delete out the particular information. So all of this. I'm not going to delete out this column because it's got my formula in there. What I am going to do though is convert this formula to only be visible if there's a quantity on that particular line. And to do that, we go up to the formula bar at the top. We change this formula to be an if statement. So we put if, open bracket, that is equal to 0, then with the comma, show me nothing, which is nothing in between the two quotation marks. Otherwise, show me the result of the formula, close bracket. So now you see, that's because there's no price. Once I put that in, if I take the quantity out, everything goes. I can copy that down just by double clicking on the corner. That will fill down to the next gap in the data set. So because there's a gap there, it didn't fill all the way down and go over the top of these. It just filled it all there. You can see that formula is copied down. Whoops. It's copied down to here. Now let's go as if we're filling in our first invoice. I'll leave that customer information alone. Let's just change that. Put that to the top. Put wrap text on. That means that will go in there. So date, I'll say. Okay, so I've put some information in there now. You can see the totals are all adding up fine. Let's go to print preview. All looks good. I think in this case I'm going to send it via email. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to convert this to a PDF. So I'm going to change my printer, Microsoft Print to PDF, and look what's happened. Because the formatting is different for the Microsoft PDF, it's put the last column onto a next page. So one quick way to fix that, on down here on the scaling option, we can say fit all columns onto one page. And that'll just bring that back. And then we can print to a PDF. We can print to small business invoice, and I can say, one thing I noticed when it printed the PDF was that it went onto 2 pages. Let's have a quick look at what the system did. So what it did, it printed the first page, and then for some reason, although the preview was correct, it chopped the last few lines off the bottom. I did a little research into this, and the reason is there's a setting in Excel that you have to change if this is going to happen for you. So the way we find it, we go to File, Options, Advanced, go to the bottom and remove this tick box against scale content for A4 or 8.5 times 11 paper sizes. If we take that off, I'll go back and I'll print this again to PDF. Everything's the same. I'll overwrite this one. And then we'll open it up again. That's the old one. And this time it's just one page. So once you've fixed Excel to work so that the PDF documents print out okay, the process would be fill out your invoice, put in all the details. I would save the document as, and I would choose in Excel, I would choose the actual invoice number so that you can refer to this whenever you need to, and you can put the customer details on there as well. Save your document as that customer, go to File, Save As, and this time choose PDF. If you press P, it'll take you down to that section. The name will already be in from what you saved the Excel document as. Press Save. It opens up to show you a preview of the document. I can see it's just one page, so that's great. That will then give you an Excel version of the document that you can modify if needed, and a PDF version of the document that you can send to the customer that they cannot modify. In order to make sure this document prints properly across multiple pages, there's a couple of things we can do. The first one is on the page layout ribbon and print titles. We can choose certain rows to repeat at the top of every page, and to do that we use this section here. All you've got to do, click your cursor into that box and then select the rows that you want to keep. Now we could just keep the customer details or the customer details and notes. Depends on how you want the document to look over multiple pages. So I'll do that. I'll include both the customer details section and the notes section, and let's see how that looks. Currently there's only one page to print, so I'm going to insert some extra rows in the detail lines here so that it goes onto multiple pages. Copy one of the blank rows, Control C, and then select a number of rows that you want to add, right click and insert copied cells. What you'll see then is this goes way beyond one page and into 2 pages. Go to print preview and I have page 1, and I'll click the button here, that shows page 2. So as you can see, now we have customer details, invoice details and notes showing on both pages. If you want to add a second page, it's probably a good idea to work out how many rows looks good on that second page. So copy a row, make sure you're beneath any data that's already in there, add some extra rows. On the left hand side you can see it says 23R, 22R, 21R. That's the number of rows that you're going to add. So let's try adding 17 rows. Insert copy cell. For everyone that's highlighted it, we'll put another row in. I'm going to look at print preview. First page looks okay, second page looks okay, and they actually finish in the same place at the bottom. So what you should know is that you can add 17 rows in, or it might be 18, might be 19, depends on how deep your rows are. You can add in that number of rows to get a consistent look and feel on your document. The last thing to do in this section is to create actual template documents that you can use over and over again without having to go back and delete the data and put it in again. Let me show you how to do that. Currently I've got this formatted for 2 pages, so it's going to be a good idea to have a template for a single page and a template for a multiple page invoice. So let's start with a multiple page invoice. I'm going to clear out the data that needs to be cleared, and now I'm going to do save as. Instead of an Excel workbook, I'm going to choose Excel template. Now notice where it takes me. It wants to take me to a separate folder, inside my documents folder, custom office templates. Personally, I want to change that. So I'm going to click on there. I'm going to go to where I keep the rest of these documents in my small business invoice folder. I'm going to call it multiple page invoice template and save it there. Now I'm going to remove those 17 rows. So I'm going to highlight until it says 17, delete those, and I'm back to one page. So now I'm going to save as. It's kept the right folder this time, and I'm going to say single page invoice template. And here I have my single page invoice and my multiple page invoice template. So the process would be, as you need to start a new invoice, choose which one of these you're going to use, double click, open up, fill with all your details. Once you've got all your details in, press save. It won't go over the top. You will have to give it a new name. So because it's a template document, it doesn't automatically let you save over the top of it. It forces you to choose another name to give it. So I would say 002 testing sing. And then in my folder, I still have my invoice templates, and then I've got invoice 002. The last thing to do then, of course, is to go to File, Save As, PDF, save it as a PDF, and I get a PDF document here. I can send that out to my customer. That's the end of the first video in this small business invoice series. I hope you find this to be a useful guide in creating your own documents in Excel. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you want to know when I release new content, please also click the notification bell. In the next video, I'm going to explain how Excel can save you time putting data into the invoice. And later on, I'll show you how you can collect all the data from all your invoices into a single table that can then help you to report on the performance of your business.